At my own wedding ceremony, I projected a video that was completely inappropriate. At first, my friends and family thought it was just a joke, just a couple playing around on screen. But as they looked closer, they realized the woman in the video was actually today's bride, Lu Ruyan. The man with her, however, was definitely not me. While the crowd sat in shock, they noticed the bride herself hadn't even arrived yet. I stood there under the pitying gazes of every relative in the room. I picked up a microphone in one hand and dialed Lu Ruyan's number with the other. She didn't pick up the first time. I didn't give up and called again until she finally answered. The sound of car horns blared clearly through the speakers for everyone to hear. The guests listened to the roar of an engine and started whispering. Was the eldest daughter of the Lu family really running away? I asked her calmly. Where are you? Why did you leave? Lu Ruyan snapped back impatiently. I have important business. Postpone the banquet. I asked, what business could be more important than our wedding? Her angry voice echoed through the hall. I said postpone it. I'm driving. Stop talking. I finally let my anger flare. I shouted into the mic. You think you can just say postpone it and that's it? What do you think this venue and these guests who traveled so far represent? What do you think of me and the Chen family? I spent 6 months preparing this engagement banquet, and you think a postponement fixes it? You're even risking your own reputation just to run off. Do you really think I'll still be the one waiting to be your bridegroom? The moment those words left my mouth, the entire hall fell into a dead silence. Lu Ruyan was stunned into silence on the other end of the line. The guests were shocked, their minds racing at my sudden outburst. They wondered if this was really the same quiet, submissive man they knew. Lu Ruyan finally spoke. What are you talking about? Are you trying to cancel the wedding? You wouldn't dare. I chuckled coldly and replied. The one who wants to cancel isn't me, is it? I already told you. I have to go to the hospital, she snapped. Someone is waiting for me to save their life. I let out a faint, mocking smile. Are you a doctor now? Can you save lives just by showing up? Then tell me, who is in that hospital? Are they really on the verge of death? Could they not wait even a single moment? Did you really have to abandon our engagement banquet for them? The crowd beneath the stage began to murmur in a frenzy. Even the Lu family was whispering, wondering who could possibly have such a hold over her. At such a crucial moment, who could possibly make the eldest daughter of the Lu family, a woman known for her icy composure, leave everything behind? Who could make her personally drive herself to the hospital right now? Then, Lu Ruyan's cold voice came through the speaker. It's my assistant, Yifan. The moment those two words were spoken, the crowd erupted. Wasn't Yifan just manager Lu's assistant? She hired him personally after graduation, and they say he's more handsome than a movie star. He's incredibly close to her, acting more like a best friend than an employee. But since when do wealthy socialites have male best friends like that? I watched the chaos and the whispering break out all around me. The Lu family matriarch, Lu Weiqian, couldn't take it anymore. She couldn't sit still and immediately ordered her people to come up and stop me. They wanted to snatch the phone out of my hand, but they couldn't get close. Fortunately, I had already planned for this. I had hired 200 security guards to guard the stage in layers while I kept questioning her. What happened to him? A cold? A fever? Or did he get nicked by a bicycle? I've always doubted your relationship. Is she the CEO, or is he? How can a lowly assistant make the Lu heiress abandon her fiancé just to serve him? Shinemo, stop being sarcastic, she snapped. He's my assistant, and he's my friend. If you don't respect him, you're disrespecting me, she declared. Oh, so I guess I didn't know the consequences. The consequences of showing a lack of respect to this assistant? Family destruction and immediate death. Beautiful. That's exactly why I died a premature death in my past life. But now that I've been reborn, I won't give an inch to this pair of dogs. Exposing them and making them infamous forever is the first step of my plan. It seems this friend of yours is more important than your own fiancé, I continued. In that case, make a choice. Who do you choose, me or Yifan? Lu Ruyan never expected me to say those words. I was pushing her, straight to the edge. In her mind, she and Yifan are like siblings. How could I make such sordid assumptions about their feelings? Answer me, who do you choose? Even now, I was still being aggressive. Lu Ruyan secretly compared us and realized Yifan understood her better. She blurted out his name, and after saying it, I hung up the phone immediately. I headed straight for the city of Badajoz. I needed to get to the hospital fast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. After hearing her choice, no one had a single good thing to say about her. Her ice goddess persona was shattered into a million pieces. Old Lady Lu felt an unprecedented sense of shame. She hated Lu Ruyan's lack of ambition and her pathetic behavior, but she hated my lack of consideration even more for making a scene in public. She immediately called over a family servant standing nearby. Go find that disobedient daughter. If that Yifan is dead, fine. If not, make sure he actually gets run over this time. Meanwhile, Lu Ruyan had already arrived at the hospital, still wearing her immaculate white wedding dress. She sprinted through the hospital corridors. Nobody had ever seen a bride in a hospital wearing her full wedding dress. Everyone was whispering, wondering what was going on. A few hopeless romantics in the crowd already imagined a tragic car accident involving the beauty's groom. They figured he was terminal and wouldn't last the night, so she came to say goodbye. Just thinking about the drama of it all, some girls couldn't wait to pull out their phones. They wanted to snap photos and post them online immediately. In my past life, this viral explosion meant I'd wear the cheated husband label forever. Back then, after Lu Rian ran away, the Lu family punished her severely, but she didn't care. They tried to get rid of Yi Fan for good. But Lu Rian protected him with everything she had. She threatened suicide, and I, being a fool, chose to forgive her. The internet mob portrayed me as a rich playboy who used his family power to steal another man's love. I was the villain who oppressed the Lu family. I was the one who tore Lu Rian and Yi Fan apart. Yi Fan lived his life with the stubborn grit of a main character in a revenge novel, fueled by his resentment. He still loves Lu Rian and protects her constantly. In the eyes of the world, I was the most evil villain imaginable. Lu Rian knew the truth about everything, but she never defended me. She only cared about one thing. She was obsessed with protecting Yi Fan's reputation, while I meant nothing to her. Right now, back at the city banquet hall, I was standing on stage holding a microphone, addressing the crowd with a calm smile. Since the eldest daughter of the Lu family has made her choice, I will do what is right. Lu Weiqin didn't know what I was about to say next, but she felt a wave of unease and was determined to stop me from speaking. She dragged her elderly body toward me. She reached the front of the stage and tried to persuade me to stop. She said, Chinemo, if there's a problem, we should talk behind closed doors as a family. Ruyan is young and reckless. She just lost her composure for a moment. We will guide her and fix this. Now, come down from there. Give me the microphone. I looked down at Lu Weiqin, standing right in front of me. I had called this woman grandmother for many years. My expression turned cold. The Qin family had always been small, but we had dignity. Before I was even born, my grandparents passed away. They left this world one after the other. Then, while I was still in high school, my parents were killed in a sudden accident. The once proud Qin family was weakened. In the end, all that remained was me, the sole survivor of my bloodline. The Lu family claimed they provided me with care and warmth, but their kindness always masked a darker, hidden purpose. Old Lady Lu's real goal was to seize every last asset the Qin family owned. Now that I've been reborn, I will never let history repeat itself. Old Lady Lu, I said, your name is Lu, and mine is Chun. Where do you get off? Do you really have the nerve to think we are some kind of united group? Do you really think we're family? Since your granddaughter made her choice, your son-in-law isn't me, it's Yi Fan. I am speaking to her now as the head of the Qin family, watching her schemes crumble. Your attempt to play the emotional card has failed, Lu Weiqin. She looked up at me on the stage, her eyes filled with desperation. I turned back to the audience with a fake, apologetic expression and said, I'm sorry, everyone. I apologize for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend my engagement banquet, but it all turned out to be a complete farce. As I said before, I am a man who believes in doing the right thing. The eldest daughter of the Lu family already has someone she loves. How could I steal her love? As of today, I am breaking my engagement with Lu Rian. The moment I finished speaking, my former father-in-law, Lu Aini, found the courage to storm the stage. He shouted fiercely, I don't agree. I strongly object. Chinemo, you have no right to make this decision. I looked at him and asked, what reason do you have to disagree? Your daughter made her choice and ran off to find her true love. What do you want me to do? Should I send someone to kidnap her and lock her up? The Qin family doesn't do things that are immoral or illegal. My upbringing simply wouldn't allow it. Every word I spoke was a calculated slap to the face of the Lu family. I was telling the world they had no class, and the daughter they raised had no shame. Aini's face turned bright red as he stammered. Chinemo, Rian doesn't understand the consequences of this choice. If she knew the engagement would be cancelled, she would come back. Please, give her another chance. I looked at his desperate pleading and slowly shook my head with pure contempt. Sir, how do you know I didn't give her a chance? She's the one who burned that bridge. Have you already forgotten the video we all saw before the ceremony started? Your daughter and Yi Fan have already committed their lewd acts together. What good is your opposition now? Your new son-in-law is in the hospital right now. I suggest you go worry about him instead. By the way, Grandma Lu, is your third generation still looking for a son-in-law? If so, what's the plan? I should have said this sooner and stepped back in time to avoid such a massive misunderstanding. The guests in the room didn't expect me to be this calm. I stood there with my charisma at its peak, acting like a real man. Ani wasn't about to let such an excellent son-in-law escape. He still wanted to fight for it. He rushed to my side and whispered, this is just how marriages work in wealthy families. You play your games, and I play mine. Ruyan has followed you for so many years. You can't just stop playing and back out now. She just had a momentary slip-up. Forgive her, all right. Marrying her is the same as inheriting half of the Lu Empire. For the sake of your past affection and this massive wealth, take back the cancellation. It's better to just forget all of this happened. I looked at him and thought, has this father-in-law's brain been eaten by a dog? Things have already gone this far, and he still expects me to swallow this disgust? He kept going. Besides, Ruyan is still pure. Aside from some hugging and kissing, they haven't done anything else. You wore this green hat once, but I promise you'll never have to wear it again. I looked him in the eye and said, my Qin family doesn't need anything from your Lu family. I turned back to the crowd and said, now, I will announce the second thing. Starting today, the Qin family and my mother's side of the family will no longer be strategic partners with the Lu family. Once current projects are finished, no new contracts will ever be signed with them. This time, it wasn't just Aini who stood there frozen. Grandma Lu was so terrified she couldn't even keep her balance. Overcome by a fit of rage, the old woman collapsed straight onto the floor. Quick, get her to the hospital now. The Liu family members scrambled to lift her up and rushed her out of the room. Aini saw the chaos, shook his head in defeat, and followed them out. I stayed behind to calm the guests until the late hours of the night. The noise finally died down, but beneath the silence, a storm was brewing. I walked back into the living room and found my friend, Shin Yuchu. We both sat there in silence, trying to clear our heads after the madness. Shin Yuchu was like a late autumn rose, subtle yet striking. She radiated an irresistible charm that was impossible to ignore. If Lu Ruyin was a cold snow lotus, then Shin Yuchu was a dark, mysterious rose. Shin Yuchu, I murmured. I felt the weight of the situation pressing down on me. She was a few years older than me, but she always knew exactly what to say. My sister, Chen Yaron, adopted her not too long ago. Do you really plan on giving all of this up? She asked. Lu Ruyin really did this to me. She actually went through with it. I can't stand it. How could she betray my sincere devotion like that? As Shin Yuchu spoke, tears began to stream down her face. This time, I couldn't pretend to be indifferent anymore, and I completely broke down. I collapsed into the chair, my strength leaving me. My eyes were hollow, filled with sadness, despair, and total helplessness. Even after being reborn, a part of me still couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe Rian would treat me this way. The humiliation of her running away from our engagement was just the tip of the iceberg. What I'm enduring today is nothing compared to the past. It's nothing compared to what Lu Ruyan did to me 10 years ago. To avenge Yi Fan, she straight up turned me into a vegetable. Did I comfort her? No, this matter definitely won't end here. Lu Ruyan is just the beginning. I want the entire Lu family to pay for the choice they made. I looked at her and asked, what do you think is most important to a woman? Without waiting for Shin Yuchu to answer, I continued speaking. Today, I'm going to make those camera photos public. Exposing Lu Ruyan's infidelity is a double-edged sword, but she can forget about me now. Her dream of marrying into a prestigious family in this life is officially over. The Lu family will never allow her to be with a nobody like Yi Fan. Without us even lifting a finger, the family will tear itself apart. The Lius will take care of those two themselves. We only need to focus on dealing with the Li family. I am going to lead the Lu family straight into ruin. Fueled by hatred, I gripped my teacup tight. I set it down and told her no. My eyes were cold, revealing a flicker of violence and ferocity. Shin Yuchu had never seen me like this. I felt like a completely different person. She looked at me and said, fine, I will always support you. The Chen family is your backbone, and together, we'll make them pay 10 times over. Yuchu leaned in and touched my forehead, just like she did when I was a child. I looked at her face, the face I had missed so much. In my previous life, after I became a vegetable, she came to care for me every single day. She would turn me over and massage my limbs gently. She would whisper in my ear, telling me everything that was happening in the world outside. And at the end of every visit, she would always stroke my head. I couldn't help myself. I stood up and pulled her into a tight embrace. I was no longer the man Shin Yuchu once knew. In my past life, I had been led astray. I remembered how Lu Ruyan treated her and the tragic end she met, and I felt a soul-crushing regret. I cursed myself for ever loving Lu Ruyan and letting her hurt my family, vowing that I would never let Yuchu down again. I rested my head on her shoulder, breathing in her familiar scent. The feeling of recovering what I had lost broke me, and I began to weep bitterly. She stiffened at the sudden hug, since it had been years since we were this close. Yuchu practically raised me. I followed her everywhere until I grew up and met Lu Ruyan. Because of that woman, I had pushed Shin Yuchu away and kept my distance. She heard me crying and probably thought I was still mourning my relationship with Lu Ruyan. She sighed softly, stroking the back of my neck to comfort her crybaby little brother just like the old days. As I let the melancholy pour out of my heart, I felt a surge of new life and vitality. Sister, get some rest, I said. We have a lot to handle at the company tomorrow. I finished speaking and headed for the door, but she stopped me. Where are you going so late? She asked. I'm going back to the wedding house, I replied. I need to get a few things back. They're my parents' heirlooms, and I refuse to leave them in Lu Ruyan's hands. Realizing I wasn't going back to beg for Lu Ruyan's forgiveness, she didn't say another word. She simply insisted that someone from the Chen family drive me there. After I left, Shin Yuchu stood alone in the quiet room. She let out a cold snort, thinking, Lu family, it's time we settled our accounts. Shin Yuchu was never just a pretty face. The fact that she could sustain the Chen family at only 22 years old proved that. Keeping the family firm and stable showed exactly what she was capable of. In my past life, I was the one who ruined her happiness. I had indulged my worst impulses and stripped her of her power within the family. How else could I have allowed the Lu family to seize our entire business? How else could I have let Lu Ruyan drive Shin Yuchu to such a tragic end? Tianai Pavilion was a luxury villa complex developed by the Lu family. My wedding house with Lu Ruyan was located there, and I walked straight inside. Looking at these rooms, both familiar and alien, a wave of sadness washed over me. Originally, I had planned for us to live in my father's old estate. I wanted to stay in the Chun family ancestral home after the wedding, but Lu Ruyan refused. She claimed she hated the outdated decoration style of the old house. Conveniently, this happened just as the Lu family finished their new development. She demanded I buy Villa Number 1, the flagship building, for $50 million. It was only because of my influence and investment that this real estate project succeeded. Before I stepped in, the entire development was failing miserably. The project was revived instantly, and my high society friends started buying in. They bought up houses here one after another. After all, who wouldn't want to be close to the Chin family? Later, I spent another $50 million on renovations. Every detail of the decor was tailored exactly to Lu Rian's tastes. I spent half a year supervising the work across the city. I kept thinking, this is where we'll spend our lives, so it has to be perfect. But in the end, it was all for Yi Fan's benefit. After I was paralyzed and left in a vegetative state, Lu Rian dumped me at the old family estate. Then, she handed this entire place over to Yi Fan. My wedding house, built with my own sweat and money, became their love nest. How many times did they sleep together? Right there in my own wedding bed? That was the final straw that made Shin Yuchu snap. She led a group of people to the house, battering down the door to leave Yi Fan paralyzed, an act that led to her own death. Thinking about this, my heart feels like it's being torn apart. A mouthful of blood wells up in my throat. Bright red blood spills onto the white living room carpet, looking hideously vivid. I even collapsed on the floor from the sheer weight of my grief. Meanwhile, at Shenzhen Central Hospital, Lu Rian had no idea what was coming. She was about to become the center of a massive public scandal across the city. Right then, she was just sitting by Yi Fan's hospital bed. She held his hand tightly, looking up with a face full of worry, staring at Yi Fan's pale face as he lay there unconscious. She felt incredibly distressed, but luckily, Yi Fan was mostly fine. He only had a few scratches and no internal injuries, but the impact had knocked him out cold. Lu Rian stayed by his side for over 2 hours without even blinking. She had no clue what was happening back at the old Qin family estate. She didn't realize she was already becoming a celebrity, all across Shenzhen. Except, this kind of fame wasn't exactly glamorous. Earlier, people had posted about her on LinkedIn, though they didn't know the full story yet. They saw her rushing into the hospital to find Yi Fan. The public opinion online was actually praising her for being so devoted. Internauts were gushing over her beauty and her eternal love as the post went viral with blessings. It's a shame that things were about to take a sharp turn. The people who actually attended the engagement party knew the truth, and they were already starting to change the narrative. Online, people were calling it nonsense, but they had no idea who she really was. Lu Rian, the eldest daughter of the Lu family. And the man in that hospital bed was just her assistant, Yi Fan. Tonight was supposed to be her engagement to me, the heir of the Qin family, but she abandoned me at the altar. She literally ran to the hospital in her wedding dress just to be with him. Where was the groom in all of this? People were actually blessing this couple, and it made me want to vomit blood, so someone finally leaked the truth about Lu Rian and Yi Fan. They posted everything, including photos from the engagement party scene. In the photos, I was standing all alone on that massive stage. My face was a mask of disappointment and utter despair. And on the giant screen behind me, the truth was being exposed for the first time. There was the photo of Lu Rian in her pajamas, right there in the room with Yi Fan. The logic was flawless and the evidence was undeniable. It was rock solid. The fact that Lu Rian was having an affair with Yi Fan was officially confirmed. Public opinion flipped in an instant, but Lu Rian had no idea the internet was exploding. She had turned off her phone the moment she stepped into the hospital. People wouldn't stop calling her, and she was afraid they'd wake Yi Fan up. But the real reason she went dark was because she didn't know how to explain this mess to her family or mine. Keeping her phone off allowed her to stay in that hospital room, peaceful and quiet, at least in her own mind. She figured I was just having a hard time accepting things for the moment. She thought once she went back and explained it in person, she could appease me. She expected me to apologize for my outburst and propose to her all over again. She actually thought she was doing me a favor by forgiving my aggression and marrying me. She even planned to make Yi Fan the best man at our wedding and have 2 kids with the Lu surname. She was so used to me being her doormat for all those years. Did she really think she was still a noble princess and I was her loyal knight? But this time, she was delusional. Her knight was dead. She killed him with her own hands. While Lu Rian was lost in her fantasies, the door suddenly slammed open. She jumped in shock, and even Yi Fan flinched in his sleep. She was terrified I had come to find her, her whole body tensing up. But the person who walked in was her father, Lu Sinai. He entered the room with several bodyguards, his expression grim. Lu Rian relaxed and asked indifferently, "What are you doing here?" Her father didn't even get angry. He just said, "Your grandmother fainted from rage. She's in the room next door. Go see her immediately." Hearing that, Lu Rian let go of Yi Fan's hand and stood up instantly. "How could grandma faint from rage? Why didn't you say so sooner? What is Chun Imo doing? He can't even handle a simple situation like this. He actually upset grandma." Her face was cold, her voice dripping with nothing but blame for me. She didn't even look at her father as she rushed out of the room to find her grandmother. In her mind, this was all my fault, not the fact that she abandoned her own wedding. She refused to see that her choices caused this entire disaster. She still had no idea that the moment she chose Yi Fan, I had already announced to the world that our engagement was dead. Her father didn't correct her. He just glanced at Yi Fan and sneered, "Stop pretending." Yi Fan lay there motionless, playing the part of the unconscious victim to perfection. Lu Sinai saw right through him and told the guards, "Stay here and watch him. Don't let him leave." After giving the order, her father walked out of the room. The moment the door closed, Yi Fan's eyelids twitched ever so slightly. He desperately wanted to open his eyes and check his surroundings. He peeked through a tiny slit, but when he saw the two massive shadows looming over him, he went back to playing dead. Meanwhile, Lu Rian arrived at the VIP suite next door, guarded by the family's security. She walked in and saw her elderly grandmother lying weak on the hospital bed. The sight terrified her, and she immediately burst into tears. She turned to her grandmother's personal maid, Aunt Wan, demanding to know what happened. What happened to Grandma? How could this happen? Aunt Wan hesitated to speak. She had served the Lu family for over 50 years, ever since she was a child. She had been by the old lady's side through everything. She watched Lu Rian grow up and never believed she was capable of such things. But now, the cold reality was staring her right in the face. Her young mistress had abandoned her own fiancé at their engagement party, all just to run to the hospital and check on a mere assistant. Aunt Wan sighed and whispered. The head of the family fainted from rage. She'll wake up soon. Before Lu Rian could press her for more details, the old woman lying on the bed, Lu Weiqing, slowly opened her eyes at the sound of the voices. Aunt Wan rushed to help her sit up, and Lu Rian moved to help as well. "Grandma, are you okay? How are you feeling right now? And where is Chunimo? You fainted. Didn't he even bother to follow you here?" Lu Rian didn't mention a single word about her own escape from the wedding. She didn't even seem to realize that she was the reason her grandmother collapsed. Instead, she took it for granted that I was the one who failed to look after her. Her grandmother was in the hospital, and yet I wasn't by her side. But then, Lu Weiqing used every bit of her strength to shove Lu Rian away. She looked at her with pure contempt and spat out, "Get away from me. I don't have a granddaughter like you." Now Lu Rian realized. The truth was out, but she still didn't care at all. "Grandma, what are you saying? It's just an engagement party. We can hold it later. I'll clear things up with Chinimo. I'll call him right now and make him apologize to you." As soon as she finished speaking, Lu Rian turned away. She reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. She switched it on, intending to demand an explanation from me. But Lu Weiqing stopped her immediately, her face pale as death. The old lady knew Lu Rian had no idea what had happened outside, that I had already canceled the wedding. If she called me now with that arrogant tone, it would be a disaster. It would only backfire and enrage me further, leaving no room for negotiation. "Don't call him yet. Listen to what this old woman has to say first." Lu Rian didn't dare disobey her grandmother this time. She acted obedient for once and put her phone away. She tucked it back into her pocket. "Go ahead, Grandma." Lu Weiqing leaned back against the hospital bed and looked at Aunt Wan. She signaled for her to leave and closed the door behind her. Once Aunt Wan had stepped out, only Lu Weiqing and Lu Rian remained in the silent room. Lu Weiqing's expression shifted into pure fury. She stopped her with a stern, icy glare. "Do you even realize what you're doing? Do you think I'm just some useless old woman who can't control you anymore? You've brought nothing but shame to this family. Have you any idea how much face the Lu family has lost because of you?" Lu Rian stood there, frozen in fear. She was speechless, and tears of grievance began to well up in her eyes. It was like a dam had burst, and the floodgates were wide open. "Grandma, what did I do? Why are you scolding me like this? How have I disgraced the family? What's wrong? You still have the audacity to ask me that? Tell me, who is in the room next door? Who is he? What right does he have to be in a VIP suite on the top floor?" The more Lu Weiqing spoke, the more her blood boiled. She was already holding back for the sake of Lu Rian's dignity. If it were anyone else, she would have torn them apart by now, even if the wedding hadn't happened yet. The two of them were already engaged, yet the way Lu Rian was acting was completely immoral. In Lu Weiqing's day, a woman like her would have been dealt with severely. She would have been thrown into a pig cage and drowned in the river. Lu Rian was instantly stunned. She had never told her family about Yi Fan's existence. Aside from me, everyone else thought Yi Fan was just her assistant. She felt like she was being put on trial. She asked hurriedly, her voice trembling, "Grandma, how do you know Yi Fan is here? Did Chinimo tell you? How could he be like this? I already explained everything to him. Yi Fan and I have no other relationship. He's just my assistant. But Chinimo is being so petty." Lu Weiqing let out a sharp, angry laugh. "What kind of assistant makes you ditch your own engagement party halfway through? And what kind of assistant gets hospitalized and has his CEO rushing to his bedside? Is that really the relationship between a boss and an employee? Who would believe that? Do you take us all for fools?" Under Lu Weiqing's interrogation, Lu Rian was completely lost. She didn't know how to explain her bond with Yi Fan to her grandmother. She was certain it wasn't a romance, but something else entirely. She felt a familial affection for him, a bond without blood, but would Grandma ever believe that? At this moment, she realized there was only one way to solve this problem. Me. If I showed up to help her explain, Grandma would have to believe it. She immediately tried to call me again to get me to come over. Lu Weiqing didn't even try to stop her this time. She just watched her with indifference and said, "Don't bother guessing. Chinimo isn't going to answer your call." Lu Rian didn't believe her, but when she dialed, I didn't pick up. In the past, this was impossible. Whenever she called me, I'd answer within 3 seconds. But today, Lu Rian called 3 times in a row, and there was nothing but silence. Granddaughter, Lu Weiqing said, "Let me tell you something." Lu Weiqing sighed deeply and decided to tell her the truth. She explained everything that happened after Lu Rian walked out. She detailed how I called her and even asked her to record a video of the whole mess. I had forced Lu Rian to make a choice right then and there. And finally, I announced the total cancellation of our engagement. The only thing Grandma left out were the photos of Lu Rian and Yi Fan together. The thought of them being intimate was something Lu Rian couldn't even process yet. She stood there, completely shell-shocked, hearing that I had ended it in public. Her face was a mask of pure disbelief as she whispered, "How is this possible? He loves me so much. How could he just cancel our engagement? No, I have to go find him right now. I need to ask him what this means. How does he dare do something like this?" She turned and was about to bolt out the door. "Come back. What's the point of going to see him now?" Lu Weiqing looked at her granddaughter with a heavy heart. She realized Lu Rian couldn't even distinguish right from wrong anymore. It wasn't just a failure of education. The problem was that I had simply stopped spoiling her. This time, be honest with me. What is your real relationship with that boy? How far have things actually gone between you two? Lu Rian froze at her grandmother's question, her eyes flickering with guilt. She paused for a moment and spoke with a trembling voice. "Grandma, what are you talking about? What kind of relationship could I possibly have with Yi Fan? You have to believe me. We're just colleagues, friends. Don't listen to Chun Mo's nonsense. When I said I chose Yi Fan on the phone, I just meant I was coming to the hospital. I didn't mean I was choosing him over Chinimo. How could I ever give Chinimo up?" Deep down, she was telling the truth. She never intended to let go of my family's wealth. She had only lashed out because she felt provoked by my aggressive attitude. She hadn't realized that I was simply tired of her games and had dug a hole for her to jump into. Lu Weiqing didn't believe a single word of her granddaughter's excuses. She was beyond disappointed that Lu Rian was still trying to argue and lie. Her chest tightened with rage as she looked at the girl. "I don't believe you, and more importantly, neither do the guests who were there. Those guests are powerful people. Many of them are our family's business partners. If your infidelity is confirmed, do you have any idea how much the Lu family will lose?" Lu Rian's face went pale as she processed the word. "Infidelity? Who? Who said I was unfaithful?" The old woman didn't bother explaining anymore. She pulled out her phone and pulled up the files. She showed Lu Rian the photos of her and Yi Fan together. Her eyes went wide with horror as she stammered. "Where did you get these? Who took these photos?" "It doesn't matter where I got them," Grandma snapped. "Regardless of what happened between you, Yi Fan is a dead man walking. If the Chun family doesn't finish him, the Lu family will. He is the biggest stain on your life." Lu Rian snapped out of her shock when she heard her grandmother's death threat. She rushed to stop her, crying out, "No, you can't touch him. I won't allow it. If you kill him, you'll have to kill me first." Lu Weiqing collapsed onto the bed, so consumed by rage she couldn't even speak. But Lu Rian didn't even notice her grandmother's state. She was obsessed with the photos. "I remember now. This was from our business trip last week. He only came to my room that night to discuss work matters. We were just talking about the company, and then he spilled coffee on me. I only changed my clothes because of the mess. You have to believe me. I am a product of your upbringing. How could I ever do something so low?" Hearing her desperate pleas, the old woman began to hesitate. The photos didn't show what happened inside the room, but the optics were devastating. A man and a woman, alone, late at night, with her changing into a nightgown. No matter how she spun it, the explanation felt thin and hollow. Seeing the doubt still lingering, Lu Rian doubled down on her lies. "We're in the hospital right now. You can call a gynecologist to come in this very second. I'll have them examine me, so you can see for yourself that I'm still a virgin." Hearing her granddaughter speak with such conviction, Lu Weiqing started to believe her, but she was still deeply confused. If they weren't lovers, why was Lu Rian protecting Yi Fan so fiercely? Lu Rian realized she couldn't hide the truth about Yi Fan any longer. She took a breath and finally confessed everything. Yi Fan started at the Lu company a year ago, and she liked his work enough to make him her personal assistant. But slowly, she began to feel that Yi Fan was special. Compared to the obsession of other suitors or my silent, attentive care, Yi Fan felt different. The Lu family had been women for 3 generations. She never had a younger brother. She had always craved that sibling bond, and Yi Fan filled that void perfectly. Over the past year, Lu Rian became more and more dependent on him. She even started giving in to his most unreasonable demands. After hearing the explanation, the old woman wanted to slap her across the face. A younger brother, she thought. There is no such thing as a brother like that. They weren't related by blood, yet they were intimate without boundaries. Who would believe that? Only a fool like I used to be, blinded by love, would have fallen for it, but I'm not a fool anymore. It's no wonder I handled this entire situation with such cold, calculated calm. I had piled up too much disappointment until it turned into pure despair. Every time I trusted her, she just pushed me further, which is why I ended the engagement in public. Grandmother Lu beat her chest and kicked the floor in a rage. She wailed, asking what sins her ancestors committed to deserve a granddaughter like Rian. As the scolding continued, Lu Rian felt deeply wronged, but then a sudden noise broke the tension. There was an urgent, heavy pounding on the door. My father-in-law, Aini, called out from the hallway, saying he had urgent news to report. Grandmother told him to enter, and he rushed toward her holding a tablet. He showed her the screen, explaining that the scandal was trending all over the internet. Public opinion had turned completely against the Liu family. He looked at her with wide eyes and asked, "What do we do now?" Grandmother Liu hated his nervous energy and his inability to make a single decision. She thought he was pathetic compared to me, a 20-year-old boy who stayed perfectly stable. She snapped at him, telling him to look at his own useless, panicked face. Aini bowed his head even lower, while Lu Ruyan watched him with pure contempt. She had always despised her father from the bottom of her heart. The only reason he was even in the family was because the Lius had no male heirs. Since he never gave the family a son, they treated him like garbage after his wife died. Aini was used to the abuse and didn't get angry. He just insisted she look at the tablet. When the two women saw the news, Rian shook with fury while the old woman fainted on the spot. The situation online was spiraling out of control as my reputation and hers moved in opposite directions. More and more people were starting to sympathize with me. Insiders began posting everything I had ever done for Lu Ruyan over the years. Someone even leaked the massive list of dowry gifts my family had showered upon the Lius. When the netizens saw the sheer scale of my generosity, they called her treatment of me absolutely subhuman. Lu Ruyan had no way left to defend herself. Even if she claimed she and Jafan were just like siblings, who would believe that lie? Did she really think people were that stupid? The public was denouncing her, and the fire was spreading to the entire Liu family business. The internet was turning into a battlefield against them. A massive online movement started, calling for a total boycott of all Liu family products. By tomorrow morning, investors would start panicking. They would dump their Liu family stocks as fast as they could. It was obvious what was coming. Tomorrow was going to be a living nightmare for the Liu family. If they didn't find a way to fix this immediately, the family wouldn't be able to recover for years to come. The wealth they drained from my family and their soaring stock prices would vanish in an instant. Lu Ruyan finally tasted the bitter fruit of her own actions, crying out, "Grandmother, what do we do? What should we do? You're asking me? How should I know?" Old Madam Lu couldn't hold back her fury anymore. She stepped forward and delivered a stinging slap across Lu Ruyan's face. Lu Ruyan clutched her cheek and sobbed. "Grandmother, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Does Chunimo really not want us anymore? Grandmother, I don't want to break the engagement. I love him. I didn't betray him. I didn't have an affair." Lu Ruyan was no longer the cold, untouchable goddess everyone admired. The pure snow lotus of the city had withered away. Now, she looked like nothing more than a pathetic, abandoned pet. "So, you finally realize you were wrong? Too little."